Good afternoon and welcome to Race Country, where we're going to be discussing poo. Not for the whole of the programme, but tons of the stuff is generated in this valley. And what happens to it all? Also today we meet Lambourne's longest-serving lad. An unexpected arrival at the stud makes it a dinner party with a difference.
Like everybody else at Kingswood, enjoys a good drink.
But it's sober swatting for trainee farrier Joel Roberts as he hammers away at the books. First though, we're going to meet Lambourne's resident horse whisperer, Kelly Marks, who has a real knack of talking to the animals. She can also share her talent with customers who come from far and wide. At Hunstomp Farm, a few miles from Lambourn, a week-long course in the art of horse whispering is well underway. Nick Earnshaw is one of the students hoping to improve his understanding of horse psychology. He works with horses every day, but Nick's world is a far cry from the rolling hills of the Berkshire countryside. The busy streets of West London, not the kind of place you'd choose to ride your horse, but this is the beat of Sergeant Nick Earnshaw of the Mounted Division of the Metropolitan Police.
We are very much the acceptable face of policing. We can go into schools, we can work into estates. Equally, at a football crowd, if you've got 200 or 300 lads misbehaving, I can take 5 or 6 of my boys and girls and we can quietly and politely move them without any aggravation at all.
Nick is based in Hammersmith, where they keep 12 police horses, all with very different personalities.
This little guy here, Embassy, we call him Fag End, or Fag Butt, Dutch-bred horse. A bit of a footballer, a bit temperamental on occasions, but very, very good horse, really. And then you've got the other sort here, you've got big old Hercules. He's about the biggest horse we've got in London, really. He's nearly 18 hands, and he's shy across. And for all his size, he's quite a sensitive little soul, so we have to watch him sometimes. Very brave, but he worries too much about life on occasions, but he's a sweetheart. And then we've got Barney Bear, Barnaby. Barnaby's a scaffolder's mate. You know, trousers round his ankles, cuffing it a bit. Mr. Reliable, did the Chelsea celebrations a couple of weeks ago, had all the flags hanging over his head, didn't worry. So as you can see, they're all very, very different, all different characters. They're like people, and you've got to put them together just like a team.
But not every horse is cut out for police work.
We look at 100, we might pick 1 or 2. And they might look the right size, but there's something about them. They've got to be calm, but they've also got to be a bit stroppy. They've got to have the edge.
Today, Nick and his team are planning to patrol a local trouble spot.
What we're going to do this afternoon is we're going to pop over to Southall to help the local station with a dispersal order which they've got from the local court to discourage antisocial behaviour that's going on over there. Lisa, if you come with me, and we'll go and cover Southall Park area. Same lot over by the football pitches there, look. Same lot as yesterday. Our little gang of lads. Yeah, we recognise the gin bottle. Let's go and get in their faces a bit.
The horses help to break the ice, and what could have been a difficult encounter turns into a friendly chat.
She's uncomfortable, she's having a wriggle like shaking a fly off.
How old is she?
7.
7 years old.
So in human years, that'd be 21.
So if I should just know what, about 2 years younger than me, so if I stroke you, you'd be alright.
She's cool, yeah. There is enormous future for police horses. In this modern age of technology, of cameras, computers, and everything that goes with modern policing, you still need policemen on the streets. You still need the human touch. You feel like the Pied Piper of Hamlet, don't you, when you walk around with his kids about?
Even though Nick has been riding and training horses all his life, he still feels there's a lot to learn.
I've always ridden slightly difficult horses. I've always succeeded. I've always succeeded in getting the horses to go, but I've always felt there was something missing, a piece of the jigsaw. So we'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Thanks very much. Take care.
Nick believes that Kelly Marks's horse whispering techniques are exactly what he's looking for.
OK, so we've done the practice. Let's see how she's going to be now. good.
I think the main thing I want to come away from the course with is a greater understanding of how a horse thinks, so that I can interact with them better, so that I don't get frustrated, so that I can respond to their reactions.
Wonderful, that's really good. She's getting this one step at a time, isn't she?
Nick has been in plenty of tricky situations in his time as a policeman, but taming unruly horses could be his biggest challenge yet. Find out later how he gets on. In a quiet corner of Lambourn, there's a tiny chapel. The perfect spot for tranquil meditation, you might think. Somewhere to take time away from the hustle and bustle of village life. Well, you'd be wrong. This is the headquarters of Chapel Forge Farriers. As the biggest farriers in Britain, they make and fit shoes for thousands of horses in the Lambourn area. And like so many others in the valley of the Racehorse, they're no strangers to an early start.
Just gone 7 o'clock morning, fairly typical morning. Lads are getting organised. Joel's having an hour's shoemaking, which is fairly important for him at the moment because he's got his finals coming and the shoemaking's a big thing. The rest of the lads are just warming themselves up ready for a day's work.
As senior partner, one of Peter Ainsley's jobs is to oversee the 8 apprentice farriers, which isn't always the easiest job in the world.
Right, what have you got? Have you got everything I need?
Just 1 pair of 2, 2 pairs of 3s, 3 pairs of 5.
And obviously we've got more in the car, yeah? That's just a top up.
I'm hoping.
Well, that ain't any good to me. Either we have or we haven't. It's, yes, we have, Pete, or no, we haven't. But I don't want to get to work and then, why is it funny? Either we've got the shoes we need or we haven't. It's not a hard question.
I'm not sure, I haven't checked.
Pete, if I did all these jobs myself, there'd be no point in employing you, then you have to go home. So just do one job that I don't have to do myself, and then you earn your wage. Go and have a look and see what pace we've got, because we're going to be busy the next few days. There you go, prime example of what you have to put up with. Have you done your job? Well, I'm not sure. You could compare it almost to the army. There's a lot of discipline. We have to be disciplined when we have this number of young lads working together. They have to be disciplined in the way they appear and conduct themselves in the workplace. And getting young lads into this working environment, getting up every morning, turning up to work on time is quite difficult. It's harder than you would imagine.
21-year-old Joel Roberts is approaching the end of his 4-year apprenticeship. The alarm goes off early, the hours are long, the work is tough, but for him, it's all worth it.
I enjoy the practical work, really. I love being hands-on, love working outdoors. When I was younger, I did a work experience in the office, hated every minute of it, and I knew how to do a practical job, and it just worked out nicely. It was to do with horses, and I get on really well with them. Practical work just comes quite naturally.
Even though Joel hasn't graduated yet, he is experienced enough to take on work at local yards. Today, he's visiting Kingswood Stud with fellow apprentice Lee.
I've got a couple of horses up here. Got no hind shoes on at the moment. They've been on the walker for a while, so we're just going to put some hind shoes on them, ready for them to be ridden out again.
It's a risky business, but Joel takes the danger in his stride.
Our insurance group is in the same category as extreme sports like skydiving, etc. So it's very dangerous on that level. This time last year I was shooting a colt and he reared up. So that's the teaser, he's a bit odd. He reared up, lashed out at me, kind of boxed in the air and caught my head, so I had to go to A&E for stitches and glue to keep my head together. So there's enough risks, you know.
There's no doubt that farriers are a rare breed. So what qualities do they need?
Confidence more than anything. You know, you get somebody who's nervous under a horse or generally nervous as a person, or quite weak-minded. They don't stand a chance. If you're nervous, a horse can tell for some reason. They know when you're backing down, so they'll push against you.
It's not all about brawn and bravery, though. You need a brain, because there's a written exam to pass as well as the practical.
For me, the worst part about farrier is doing all this theory work, because unfortunately my brain doesn't get around it. Practically, I haven't got to worry, but you know, I'll read this now down the side of the page. By the time I've got to the bottom and I've forgotten what the first line had said.
As the boss, one of Peter's responsibilities is to make sure the apprentices knuckle down to their written work.
Yeah, what are you doing, 10 minutes every night?
No, I do half an hour. have a break for now, another half an hour, and that's it.
What, a week?
So like 3 or 4 nights a week.
Yeah, yeah. He has to learn about the nervous system, blood supply, muscles, ligaments, tendons, bone composition. There's an awful lot to learn, and I regularly sit down and quiz him about how much homework he's been doing. He assures me he's been doing plenty, but if I have a little chat with his girlfriend on the quiet, she'd probably, well, she does. She says most of his homework he does, it seems to do in the pub.
Tonight, like most nights, the lure of the local pub is too great to resist. But if Joel wants to become a fully fledged member of the worshipful company of farriers, he'll have to do some serious swatting over the next few weeks. If he fails, there's more than just pride at stake.
When I'm qualified, I could easily take £1,500 a week home, 60, 70 grand a year if I grafted 6 days a week.
So it is worth trying to give the pub a wide berth, especially if the alternative is another 6 months as an impoverished apprentice.
I've put in 6 years of work. If I don't pass now, I'll be gutted. You know, I spent 20 a day as it is. I'll probably go to about 60 a day if I do fail.
We'll find out later this week if all Joel's swatting pays off. Lambourn is home to around 2,000 horses. 700 stable lads and lasses feed them thousands of bales of hay each year. And of course, what goes in has to come out, which means this pocket of West Berkshire generates on average 2 million buckets of dung every year. But as they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And to Peter Kindersley, it's brown gold. He owns Sheepdrow Farm, Lambourne's only organic farm that makes compost from all sorts of stable waste and uses it to fertilise the soil.
We all think of horses and race. It's got so much bacteria, so much goodness in it, that it's a sort of tonic for the soil. And what you can see here is everybody's different theory about the best bedding for a horse. Some like sawdust, some like chop card, some like paper, and some of course like straw. And we take all that and compost it here. Well, the trainers were delighted, you know. They had been trying to get rid of this stuff. They'd been burning it, they're landfilling it, lots of trailers going up and down Lambourn. It was really a mess. So when we came along with these big green skips and just put them in the yard, all they had to do was to fill them up. It must have been a huge convenience for them. But it also helps us because this is all chalk around here and there are very thin topsoils. So we need the added nutrient, we need the added bacteria and so on to really condition the rather poor soils that we have. After that huge heap that we've just been looking at, we then put it into the fields like this, so you can see these windrows. What we have to do to these windrows to really get the composting process to work is to turn them with this big machine here. Now this machine just fluffs it all up again and gets the oxygen, and at that point the bacteria all get to work again. When the oxygen goes, they all go to sleep. So it's a very, very natural process.
And it isn't any old bacteria that's enriching his soil, it's fine pedigree manure from some of the most valuable racehorses in the country.
So we're a real part of the community, and I think people appreciate that and realise that this type of farming has real benefits for everybody.
Stable staff usually start working in a yard in their teens, some of them coming in their school holidays in the early days. Many will try to become jockeys, some will be successful, some may end up as trainers. But one man liked the lifestyle so much that he gets the award for longevity. He stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed. It's 6 o'clock in the morning and Snowy Outen is about to leave for work. As usual, his wife Margaret will take him.
We're in the car for Dad. Come on, get in.
Snowy has never driven a car in his life, preferring the transport of the four-legged variety. He works on the outskirts of Lambourn for Barry Hills, one of the country's biggest racehorse trainers.
I'll see you. See you dinner time.
And at 81, he's got to be the oldest stable lad in the country.
You can get killed here, you know. You got any straw, Pam?
Incredibly, Snowy has worked with horses for around 70 years, including a stint with my grandfather, Captain Peter Hastings.
Do you want any more board up this end? Later, okay.
Well, it's 8 o'clock, which is early enough for me. But Snowy's been here a couple of hours already. Morning.
Morning, Clare.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I got various messages for you, Snowy. One's from Willie Carson, who
lovely.
says hello, and the other's from my mum.
Oh, well, I don't know. I hope she's well.
She is, she's all right, because you knew her when you worked for my grandfather.
Yes, oh yes, very, very happy days, very, very happy days. Yes, we had some marvellous times together, trained some very good winners.
And now you work for Mr. Barry Hills?
Yes, been in my 37th year with him, I think it is. I'm always a year 8 somewhere, but I think it's 37 years.
In that time, Snowy has seen the business grow from humble origins to a world-class yard with well over 150 horses in training.
37. Come here, Mill.
And up until recently, Snowy, you'd have been riding out with us.
You know, I rode out till I was 69, and then one morning the governor went to leg me up, and I was a dead weight, and he said to me, I think it's time you finished. You haven't got the spring about you now. So that was my riding days over. I've never rode since.
Well, let's go and have a look at some of your charges.
We've got 3 barns. This is barn 1. This barn holds 41 horses. Colts this side, fillies the other side. And all got the mangers, the head lads got, well, an easier job than opening doors going in, and they're quite easily manoeuvred.
Snowy is obviously proud of his part in some of the yard's biggest success stories. And this must be the lucky box.
The lucky box of all of them. They've all been in there, yes. Distant music went into the box first, and then Chancellor, who ran a good race the other day and was placed somewhere, and then Hafford.
Now Hafford, who, as the jacket says, was a very, very good horse. I mean, he gave you some of the best moments of your career.
The best in racing sort of thing, to lead the biggest thrill of all. I led him up in the guineas, led him round in the guineas, led him on the lap of honour and into the winning enclosure. It was something out of this world, and I should live with it for the rest of my life.
But it's not just his horses that win prizes. Snowy was voted Channel 4 Horse Racing Personality of the Year in 2004, ahead of people like Frankie Dettori and Henrietta Knight. Immaculately turned out to receive the award, as he has been all his working life.
When we were boys, apprentices, we had to be lined up before we rode out. The governor would walk along and look at our boots and shoes, see they're clean. He bought you a pair of jumpers and a pair of boots once a year. And then you looked after them, and he expected you to look after them.
Fortunately for Snowy, his current governor still has high standards. Snowy seems to bring old-fashioned values and hold dear to them. I mean, he still calls you Mr. Hills, doesn't he?
Well, he's been here a long time, and he's always been to work in a collar and tie, a bit like myself. So we have standards. That's the way we always go on.
And how would you describe him as a character? How is he different from other people you've known?
Well, on the day that I interviewed him, he told me that he was the fittest man in Lambourn. He could drink 28 pints off a Sunday. And, well, he doesn't drink that much now, but he's been well up to it over the years. He's been a marvellous man.
And at 81, Snowy is still going strong. It's not that he hasn't tried to retire. In fact, 11 years ago, at the tender age of 70, he did actually leave Barry Hills' employment.
We agreed and everything, and he even put a retirement due on for me, and everybody turned up. And I suppose about a fortnight it would be, and And I said to my wife, I said, I'm getting bored with this. I'm going to have a word with the governor and ask him, can I come back and do me too? Not as a head lad, not interfere with anybody, come back and do. And as it happened, it was yearling time. And pick a couple of yearlings, which I did. And never enjoyed every minute of it since. Enjoyed every minute.
For today at least, Snowy's work is done. And right on cue, his better half is here to take him home. Oh, listen, Snowy, I hope to see you for many years to come.
Let's hope so.
All right.
Good luck, lads.
Good journey home. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's 12:15 now and he's going home, but he was here at 6:30 this morning. It's not bad for an 81-year-old, is it?
That's good, well done, because you cleared plenty of space.
Mounted policeman Nick Earnshaw has swapped the bustle of London for a 5-day course run by Lambourn-based horse whisperer Kelly Marks.
Shoulders square, keep lots of energy.
We're looking at body language for horse and human. We're looking at how to look at things from the horse's point of view. We're looking at how to get the results that we want, which are fair and ethical to the horses.
Looking to ask you to come in.
These exercises are a far cry from patrolling the streets of the capital, but Nick is convinced that the course has a lot to teach him and his colleagues.
The police service is a very conservative organisation, and so that's one of the reasons I've come here on my own, because I feel so strongly that it is the way forward, and that when I go back I can take these experiences back to the police, and hopefully we'll send people here from the training centre so they can learn about this, and then they can take it round to everybody else.
You've bonded. You're going to take her home now.
The techniques used on the course were pioneered by a Californian horseman called Monty Roberts. His understanding of horse psychology was developed through years of studying the behaviour of wild mustangs.
Monty's the modern-day horse whisperer. It's thought that the film The Horse Whisperer, starring Robert Redford, was just partly based on him, or at least some of his work.
This afternoon, Kelly's fellow expert Ian demonstrates the technique he uses to get a horse accustomed to human touch.
So to give me that distance, to touch the horse, to make me comfortable, to make the horse comfortable, I'll use a dummy hand, you know. Same conformation, hand, fingers and arm, and it's made up nice and light, but I can touch him. He's curious and confident with that, you know, so there's not a problem. See, he's biting it, so. But you imagine if I was standing close and touching him with my hand, he'd be biting me, yeah?
I think the more you know about horses, the more you realise how little you know. And just when you think you're getting all the answers and you're getting very clever, a horse comes along that totally defies all your previous knowledge.
Whee! Back. That's it, he's running away, that's fine. Yeah? I was interpreting him a little bit wrongly.
Building up trust with a spoilt pony can be a long process. It's often a case of 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah. I'll let him go deliberately, actually. And we'll see what he does, yeah? So, it's a bit of distraction. I will see how we get on with that. Yeah? So, look at him, you know, because you need to know where he is at any given time, but don't look straight in his eyes, obviously, yeah?
Does not want to let me around that side,
No,
does he?
no.
Not at all. Every single body gesture you use, your eyes, the way you turn your body, the way you move your arms, and you have to read the horse so well, so you learn to become very perceptive, I think is the right word. You have to concentrate.
How do you feel doing it like this, Nick?
It's good.
Rather than being a yard or a metre closer?
A lot safer. I don't want. I know I'm not going to get kicked. I can persist. I can focus.
Okay, well done. I'll take over again. I'll see how many times I can lose him this time. Yeah, so...
Takes some concentration, that does. Some real concentration. First time I ever handled a young horse like that. I've done ceremonial stuff, I've trotted down the Mall, I've done riots, I've done Wembley football, but this was new, and because it's new, you have to really, really focus. And he's a colt, so he's a stroppy little git.
He's a fast learner. He's blocking me with his head. He's backing away. But I'm just following him, really.
Communication is the key to all things, and this is what this is about. Monty Roberts started 50, 60 years ago doing this, and he has introduced it over here, and it really, really has been a revelation. Hopefully I'll convince the boss when I get back that this is what we should be doing. Well, that'll have to wait and see, won't we? Have to see whether we can do that or not. So we'll cross our fingers for that one.
Underneath the horse's head, and you're going to ask in that kind of direction.
All right.
There we go. Just
Yes,
ask
please.
her.
And just ask.
And
It's been a tough but totally absorbing week that could change the way police horses are trained and handled forever.
and then move yourself slightly to the right.
It's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and at Kingswood Stud, the champagne is flowing in one of the birthing rooms.
Champagne and cigar. That's what it is.
Christian and Fiona, the stud owners, are welcoming a new member of the family.
Oh, Daddy.
Very. Cheers.
Fizzy Treat's new foal is just 20 minutes old, and the couple have brought along their dinner guest, top jumps trainer Nikki Henderson, to see it. Nikki has never seen a foal this young before, and his mind is already on her future.
First person that sees it trains it.
Could this baby girl be destined for greatness?
As a star. I can see jumping handling it.
Give her 4 years. Got big ears. Very big ears. You won't win.
No good.
That's right, you won't win, but look at the ears, it's big ears.
It's got to have big ears.
Within minutes, she tries to stand up.
Come on, Bambi. She's being very, very brave. Tracy's going to stand up before you help her.
Good.
Hey, we did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, look at that. I'm a big girl. I'm a big girl.
Hi, Dinky. Hi, Mum.
Now it's the foal's turn to have a swig, and this ain't champagne. Mum's first milk is low in vital immune boosters, so this newborn is being given a bottle of milk from another mare.
Like everybody else at Kingswood enjoys a good drink.
Thank you.
Here we are. Thank you.
It's not long before baby finally gets a taste of its own mum's milk.
Yes, you like this, don't you, darling? You like this, darling, yes. Oh, yes.
Actually, she's doing quite well. She's been stud for quite a while now, hasn't she? But she's had a good 8
I
answers.
think every time it's so exciting. And I hope there'll be more to come.
Makes us happy.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
The dinner party retires, and the newborn finally gets some sleep. Tomorrow on Race Country, Cupid strikes at Kingswood Stud as Mackenzie's friend meets her Romeo. And no four-legged assistance this time for 3 of Henrietta Knight's employees in the London Marathon.